My name's Logan Mannix. I'm part of the fifth generation of our family to live and work on the Mannix family ranch.
Yeah, my name's Cole Mannix, and I am president of Old Salt Co-op. We're a meat company that is owned by the ranches that supply it locally and by the workers that work there. Formed in June of 2021, and we launched our first little enterprise, which is a little restaurant here in Helena.
So we sell burger, especially in some restaurants and grocery stores. We have a couple grocery stores like the Real Food Store in Helena and the Good Food Store in Missoula that buy halves and wholes and sell them, and then we sell some at the farmer's market, and then we sell a bunch on our delivery route. And so our ranch here in the Blackfoot Valley is we manage about 50,000 acres.
So I grew up not very far from Helena in a little town called Helmville. I was the only kid in my class, K through 8th. That's how small it was. And then I went to high school in Drummond, about 17 kids in our class as freshman and sophomore and junior and senior. And then I went to Carroll College for undergraduate. I studied biology. But yeah, I grew up on the ranch. My mom and dad and my aunts and uncles all worked together to run the same cow-calf operation. So we raised cattle for a living. I think you're out in wide open spaces, and that can be really really fun. And it can also be like, hey, what's out there in the broader world. But I think I loved growing up in Helmville.
Keeping lands in working ranches is a great way to keep open spaces intact. Sometimes they're thought of as inefficient because maybe they take a lot of land, but a lot of the land that is used is land that would never be able to be used for farming. And if the cattle and grazing animals were gone, it wouldn't be used to grow vegetables, right? And I think that's about 70% of the agricultural land in the world is land that's probably not suitable for farming. And so we can use that to take a really low quality, upcycle a really low quality, say, grass that we can't eat and turning it into something like beef, which is a very nutritious thing that we can eat. So overall, I think that ranching is just really important to maintain these large open landscapes. So as manager of the beef business, I'm communicating with customers, organizing our delivery route. Sometimes I'm driving the route, packing orders. I'm also the one taking beef to the butcher every 2 weeks. And then I'm also helping out here and there on busy cattle work days. In the summer, I have a lot of irrigation responsibilities here at the main ranch.
Old Salt Outpost is kind of our first little restaurant, and it serves grass-fed burgers, and it serves potatoes from Bausch and Whitehall that are fried in beef tallow, which is a little bit unconventional for your typical French fry. And we also have a brisket chili that's also made with Mannix grass-fed beef. And right now there are 3 ranches that founded Old Salt Co-op, and 2 of those 3 are actively supplying it with ground beef and meat for our chili. It goes through about 300 pounds of ground beef per week. From one beef animal, you might have about 450 pounds of meat. You can make almost any part of the animal, any muscle, into ground beef. When you break down the muscles on an individual animal, people might most want the ribeye, which comes from this part of the animal, or they might most want the tenderloin. But those cuts of the animal, those muscles, are only so large, and so they only make up a tiny percentage of the carcass. So the thing about red meat is that it's very high in protein. It's also very high in zinc and iron.
I think we're focusing on local to try and, one, we just like the idea of regional food systems, but the second reason is that we can offer lower prices through local delivery and pickup models than we can shipping.
The landscapes behind what you buy in the grocery store are anonymous. You don't quite know where it comes from. And so you can, engage with us and learn about how we're managing water in riparian areas and wildlife and soil health. In the United States, we have 4 major companies that mostly control, even if there's more brands than 4, they mostly control those brands. And so it's coming from anywhere from Colorado to Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Texas, and then plenty of it as well is coming from out of the country, imported. It's really hard to distinguish based on the brand and based on the labels in the grocery store what the true origin is. So Old Salt is an attempt to kind of gather those smaller programs that these ranches have and control our own processing and cooperate in creating one brand that can move most of what the ranches produce to Montanans rather than anonymously kind of out of the state somewhere. We are currently working to establish our own processing facility.
We haul beef to the butcher at least every 2 weeks year-round. Our main butcher is Superior Meats in Superior, Montana, and we take beef to Superior every 2 weeks. Right now it's about 10 beef every 2 weeks that we're getting slaughtered in Superior. The nice thing about delivering every 2 weeks is you can kind of pick out the animals that are best finished each time, and finished means that they've gained enough weight, they have enough fat cover to make the meat tender and juicy and marbled. So we have a truck and a 24-foot stock trailer, and that fits maybe 12 as a really full load, but like I said, I'm usually hauling 10 in that trailer at a time down to the butcher. So what's a typical day like for a rancher? It's very seasonal. We calve starting in April. So the next month after that is a very busy time for us. So it means, somebody's getting up early for early morning checks, say maybe 6 a.m., and out checking them first light, first thing in the morning. Other people are checking during the day, so you're just making sure that mothers are, for the most part, we're calving out on pasture, so most of them are doing it on their own, but occasionally you do spot trouble, maybe the calf's coming backwards, or maybe it's just been working at it for too long, and in that case you might get that cow in, assist in the birthing process. Every day you go out and we give a vaccination shot and a tag, mother's tag, to match the mother and the baby calves, and they're given it one shot, which is a vaccination we give all our calves. The biggest wildlife challenge on the ranch is actually elk, just because they compete with cattle for grass, and there's quite a few of them. We also do have wolves and bears on the place, and definitely have had increasing numbers of wolves and bears over the last 10 to 15 years. We lose a few calves or even older animals, stockers and yearlings, to wolves and bears each year, but it's been a reasonably small number.
One of the things I think is so cool about ranching is that you can use land, you can use it to produce a very nourishing product that people buy, and at the same time that land can still be very ecologically intact if it's done well. One of the purpose of these restaurants for us is to just engage people. We don't move a lot of product through it, but we have a chance to just celebrate with the community and share what we're doing.